One of the tools that have been added here in ESX version 5 and vCenter version 5 is this notion of storage I/O control. I've clicked Properties here for VM Data Store 1, and I'm taking a look here at this Storage I/O Control node. Now if I click the Enabled button here, and then click the Advanced button, and click through the little warning here, you'll see that Storage I/O Control is currently set to 30 milliseconds. What this identifies is whether or not this storage is considered to be congested or not. And Storage I/O Control actually works with another technology, Storage DRS, that we'll talk about a little bit later, to identify when I have too many virtual machines that are vying for control or access to this available storage. When the amount of time it takes to get something accomplished, so some sort of change on that storage accomplished, increases above a certain threshold, well then Storage DRS leaps into play if it's configured appropriately in order to be able to rebalance those storage connections appropriately across what you have. So enabling Storage I/O Control, as you can see here, is kind of the first step in that process. I mainly want to introduce it here because Storage I/O Control is one of the settings that you will see when you first create that data store. Now, one of the other things I talked about that I wanted to introduce to you here in this nugget is the notion of expanding those data stores when you begin to run out of space. Now, when we created this VM Data Store 1, you remember how we created it with 100 gigabytes of storage from the LUN that was presented to it. We've created essentially a single 100 gigabyte extent that is essentially the composition of this VM data store. At some point, you're eventually going to begin to run out of disk space on this particular data store. And as you can see here, I have of this 100 gigabytes here in the partition, the device is currently making available to me 195.31 gigs. And so one of the ways that I can go about actually adding additional storage, kind of almost in the same way that I would do within the Windows operating system, is to extend this VMFS volume to add the additional storage that's available. I can do so by clicking the Increase button here. Now what I'm doing here is I'm increasing the data store capacity across the LUN that's been exposed to that data store. I will have, in a production environment, I will have already needed to expand the volume prior to doing this, and that's a task that will be done at the storage area network side. Once that volume's been extended, then I actually have to come here into the operating system and then extend it here to make the volume bigger, or to make the data store bigger. Now I'm going to select this disk device that we used before, and then from it what I'm going to do is actually make use of the existing free space as a second extent that's attached into this data store. I'm going to click the next button here. I'm going to make it the maximum available space associated with this. And the next button again, and finally finish. And after a minute or so, you'll see that what we've done is we've extended this data store to a much larger capacity here, 195.25 gigabytes. And so what I've done is now I've taken the existing space that I've exposed to this LUN and then filled it up with the rest of the data store. This provides me more space with which to work with my virtual machines. So closing down